Welcome to season 2 of the Happy Sensory Corner podcast. At Mendability, we want to help everyone, especially when they are vulnerable, to feel happier, more comfortable in their own skin, more confident, so that they can be their true selves and we can all journey together through life more happily. To do that, we activate the brain's self-healing mechanisms with short hands-on games based on the science of environmental enrichment. And as our brains grow stronger and healthier, all of us benefit. And so we're experts in boosting brain development, but we're not experts in everything. For example, we're not experts in caregiver support. And so today, I'm excited to introduce you to Rao Mutsume. She's a healer specializing in generational trauma and personal empowerment. Rao uses African ancient quantum medicine to help individuals reconnect with their true selves and achieve profound healing. Rao, I'm so happy to have you on our podcast today. We're going to address some very important issues about parenting and relationships. And I know our audience is probably on their seats, like, what is African ancient quantum medicine? I know I can, I can almost picture what African ancient medicine is, but you called it quantum medicine. Can you explain what type of medicine this is and where it comes from?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And before we start, I just want to start with greetings. It activates something within me and within the audience. So I'm extending this. So dumelang, dumelang, lokai. And that is my greetings in my native language. I come from Botswana in Southern Africa. And dumelang in direct translation is agree. So when you're showing up at Mendability today and you tuning in, you listening, what is it that you're agreeing to? And there's one question that I also invite you to take it with you every day when you show up, because there is a lot of information, there is a lot that is penetrating us, and we can only align with it if we agree to it. And lokai in direct translation is, where are you? Locate yourself. Are you fully here with us, mind, body, and heart? Or part of you is still stuck in what should have been, in the bills that are not paid, in what's wrong? So I just invite all of us, since we are meeting for the first time, as in like this is the first conversation we're having of this nature, can we be present? And I know there have been many experts here. So I invite you to come from the not knowing. When we choose to know, we can be present and be open to be penetrated by the wisdom that is coming through. And when I say let us not know, it's more letting the mind take a break and tuning into the body. What is my body informing me? So, in this time that we're going to be here, we're going to allow the body to communicate to us rather than what we are normally doing, which is us telling the body what it feels, what that means. Because when we do that, we tap into the history of what has happened. And for anything new to happen, we get to be present. So
Uh,
when you're talking about the African ancient quantum medicine, at the core of it is being and listening from that note knowingness. So when I work with people, we may be having a conversation, like we're having a conversation, but
Excuse me.
there is a deeper, bless you, there's a deeper conversation that is happening from the body that you may be, a person may be saying what they're saying, but when the body is coming through, it shares something different, especially where we are often conditioned to be stoic, to pretend that everything is fine, or even be positive, which often is like coming from the mind. Even that self love is more like the mentalization of it. But when we sit with ourselves, we can feel some sensation, you can feel some heaviness, and you are not even labeling it or anything, you're just allowing it to be. So for me, when we're having a conversation with someone, people come through with different, I would say, desires. For some people, it's a relationship. For some people, there is a pain somewhere. For some people, it's money. But when you are talking, there is an imprint that is happening in the body to say, this is where the block is. So I get to connect with that. This is why I bring in the human MRI and the psychic surgeon, because for me to know what is happening, it's kind of like I'm scanning through just being present. And I believe everyone can learn to do this if we can learn to be present with ourselves in terms of knowing what is happening and all that. But for me, it's kind of like on the other level because it's something that I was born to do. So it's in me, it's ingrained in me to know where the blocks are stored. So when it's words, when we say some words, because words are words, yes, words mean something, but even when it comes to the depth of communication, words, it's like 7% of what we are saying is what is being received when we are communicating, and 38% is tonality, and 55% is nonverbal. That is in what is not being said, there is something that is being communicated in every moment. So my ability is to connect with that nonverbal and go beyond even, like I say, generational and all that is in the energies. So that's what I do. And the difference when I'm bringing in the African ancient, this is how my ancestors have been healing. And the way they did it, it's kind of like there is tools that they had even for them to know what is happening. For instance, we're using bones. You know, you throw the bones and you allow the bones to tell you what is happening. These are the initiations that I personally received, but I'm not using them physically. You know, I don't have them physically. I receive them energetically. This is where the quantum comes in. Even when I may be doing the work and then maybe a plant comes through or a crystal comes through, I don't have it physically, but I have the energetic magic of this plants and all that. So I'm not doing it exactly like my ancestors did, but it's kind of like another level of doing that, but not doing it the way they did, the way they did. It's like the same, but on the other level, like more the advanced version of healing.
Well, there is something that I fully grasped, a little portion of it, when you talk about people talking with their body rather than with the words. And being legally blind, I absolutely need to verify the posture of people. I don't realize that is what I'm doing, but to make sure that I understand what people are saying, I do check, okay, are they smiling? Are their hands in this place? Or are they looking tired? So I really connect to the fact that, yes, we don't only talk with the words and with the mind.
Yeah, I love that because you're just doing it, but it's a big part of understanding when someone is nervous. They may not say I'm nervous, but their body's showing it. When someone is depressed, they change their body postures and all that. It's a big part. It's a big part of that, and also the energetic part. I like there is that like physical thing that you can just tell when you're looking at somebody when they're receptive, or even sort of like being defensive, like they're just blocking you, even though they may be having a conversation, but it's kind of like, I don't want to go there. So when you are present enough to notice that, you can also learn. It's kind of like it makes it easier for you to communicate with other people, or even to whether it's leading, whether it's family or even in the boardroom, you can be aware when, because there are people who are more communicative, they talk, and then there are people who may want to say something, but they're not comfortable with bringing themselves in the forefront, or maybe something is not right. But when you are present at that level, you can tell, and then from there you can attend to those who are maybe holding back a bit, so you're not leaving anyone out.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to distract you all. I
It's
was
okay.
getting pawed by the dog. He's like, pick me up, pick me up.
It
So
wants to
say
be
hello,
here.
everybody. This is
Yes,
Mr. Business.
it wants to be present with us. It's welcome.
Those of you who are listening only, there's a schnauzer on my lap trying to lick my cheeks.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, uh,
You
I
have questions. Help
I had
me
questions I was going to
understand
ask about.
more.
I was wondering if with my dog on my lap, if you are able to do your work with animals as well as humans. It's a bit of a harebrained question, and it's not something that we discussed earlier together. Have you
Yeah, I
worked
mean
with animals before?
everything is alive, and when you connect with animals, babies, all of that, there is something that is going on. So when you connect with it, you can definitely tell what is going on. Yeah.
Hmm.
Tell us about your journey. What inspired you to go into this um, practice of healing? How did you have a personal story?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I would say I never thought I'd do this, but at the same time, I knew this was my path. It's something that I have known since I was a child. And I still remember when I started sharing with my parents what I was experiencing, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're gonna be a traditional doctor." So, but since everyone somehow turned this path down, that was the only way that they knew how. It was kind of like you need to go to church and get baptized, and otherwise you're gonna end up being a doctor. So it was more like run away from it. And coming from a Christian family, I followed what everyone did, but it was not in alignment with my soul. So along the way, I stopped going to church completely, and I went on with my life, but at the same time suppressing this knowing that was coming through, because every time when I shared something, what I would receive is, "Oh, you are weird." So no one wants to be weird, right? It's only at this age that when you say, "You're weird," it's for me, it's like a compliment. But growing up, I didn't want to hear that. So I suppressed this part, but still there was a communication or a connection that was happening on a deeper level, where through dreams I was still perceiving things, I was still connecting, I was still playing around with this work. But I would say at a certain level I disconnected from myself. I wanted to fit in, I wanted to be accepted. So by running away from this, I put it there, and there was a part of me that was like following what everyone wants to do, being what everyone wants me to be. I was more into my work as an accountant, because I worked as an accountant for many years. So I was doing that, fully shutting off the whole intuitive parts and all that. But life happened. Life happened where I lost my job, my corporate job, which was a big part of my identity. And then shortly after, my younger brother had an accident, the accident that I saw before it actually happened. And this is also one of the things that I would say I hated about this gift. Is it a gift but a curse? Because if something is meant to happen, or you see something and then it happens, then it was sort of like pissing me off at the same time. But at the same time, again, blaming myself, feeling like maybe if I paid more attention, I would have changed things. So I still remember when my younger brother had an accident that I saw. I even had a conversation with him that this was serious, because as I was crying about your death, he died in that accident. Um, I was talking about the dreams that you had. And he said, I loved his response, because it was also affirming what he's choosing. And he said, "Oh, how I'm going to be here for a long time. Don't worry about me dying." And 2 weeks later, the accident happened. And as much as it was bad, he lived. And I still remember during that time when he was in the hospital, the first time I saw him, when I left that hospital, I knelt and I said, "God, spare his life, and I'll do what I came here to do," because I knew I was running away from myself. So one or the other, I believe there was a moment that I said yes to this work, but there was also the beginning of the big journey that I didn't know what I have signed up myself for, because I lost my mom shortly after. Then I went to this, yeah, judicial injustice that led to me being separated from my children for 5 years. That was devastating. But at the same time, it was a path that brought me to me, through that separation, being completely devastated, feeling powerless. And it's like that was a time when I really started paying attention to what is here. And I still remember when I had a nudge to write. It couldn't leave me. I was coming from work and I just had a shower, and from there I sat in the dining room, I started writing. And the words that came through were, "Who are you? Who are you without your mother, without your father, without a job, without a house? without your husband, your wife? Like I was writing all these things. At the same time, my ego part was like, this sounds good. So who are you? Like I'm thinking or imagining myself sharing this with other people. And then who are you without our children? That caught my attention. And I started crying. I was like, so this message is for me. And I stopped because I didn't know who I was. And that was like a big wake up call to say, okay. So I've always, like, since I had children, especially at an earlier age, then my identity became being a mother. Even when I was going through some challenging times or even work was taking a toll on me, I would do it with, I'm doing it for my children. We do that a lot, yet we are not even present for the children that we are claiming to be doing things for. So I would say that was the story that brought me back to me, because even through that question of who are you without our children, the anger that I was holding into towards this journey towards our father, I was just told, these are not your children. The reason why you feel the way you're feeling is because you think that these children belong to you, but they don't. They belong to God. They are on their mission. The question is, are you willing to be on your mission and do what you came here to do? And this is the question that I'm also extending to the parents. Who are you? Because we can only support our children at the level that we're able to support ourselves. We can only connect with anyone else at the level that we are fully connected with ourselves.
Thank you. That's a perfect lead. The reason I connected with you is I felt that there was something you had to share to help our parents of children with special needs. So can you go in more depth in how you help parents who are overwhelmed and feel disconnected to reconnect with their with themselves so that they connect with their child?
Yeah, that's a good question. And just basing on my story, here is the truth is the moment we have children, especially children with special needs, we kind of like forget about ourselves. Even just the children without any special needs, we put ourselves back on the side and we forget that we also have a life. But again, when you do that, there is a part of you like somewhere deep that is kind of like resenting that situation that you find yourself in, where it's like, I don't have any choice, I just have to do this. So the way that I help people basically is, like I said, finding who you are. What is it that turns you on? What is it that you desire to do? But for you to even get to that you desire to do, you get to deal with what is here. Because often, I'll just give you an example. I had my third child in a situation, like when I had my third child, at the time when I felt I was more awake, I was more connected because we started having conversation before this girl was born. After a while, you chose me. What is it that you want me to support you with? And she shared all this information. And despite being awake and all that, but there's still a part of me that I never took into consideration that I may have a child who maybe has special needs or something like that. I never took that into consideration, even when there was a time when I saw a big herd, in my dream, and I was just like, maybe she took a big head from her father or something like that. I just took it like that, but when she was born, there were some issues, and there was a part of me that I would say my heart really fell, because I felt like I've been through a lot to be going through this again. It's kind of like, are you kidding me, God? What is this? I still remember even when the doctor called me and told me that there is a problem with this child. The head is bigger than the body, and also she's got some cysts, but normally in other parts the cyst disappears, but in this other part of the brain they'll be there permanently. So we'll have to measure the head, like often, to just monitor, but we don't know what's going to happen. And at that time when this little girl was born, my now ex-husband went into his own depression, the way of dealing with this disappointment. So he started drinking, and the child was admitted somewhere else. I was admitted somewhere else. My then husband went into depression. And at times we come through families where not everybody is receptive of what is happening, especially between couples. So are we able to accept exactly what is going on and how we feel about the situation? Because if at all you feel like often, even though we may accept what is here because we don't have any choice. I'm the mother, especially the mother. I'm the mother. What can I do? I just have to deal with what is, but there is a part of you that is even resenting whatever creator, universe, God, source, where you feel like, why did you give me this kind of situation? But we get to deal. First thing, we need to accept how we're feeling. It doesn't make you of any bad parent or whatever. It's just like, I was hoping for, I expected, and this is how I feel in this moment. Like, I help them to accept that, even to accept and even express the anger that they may have towards the source or universe. People often don't deal with this disappointment that they received after they gave birth to this child. And when you don't do that, what it does is, at times you can blame yourself, feel guilty. Oh, maybe I did this, I shouldn't have. You go into that it's never ending path. And even when you're taking care of your child from this guilt and all that, it's the energy that the child gets to feel, right? But when you deal with all these suppressed emotions, which at the end of the day they may cause some illness even in your body, but when you deal with them, and then from there you kind of like open up to the expansive way, you also get to receive whatever part that this child is here to express. But when you resent, I say this, when you resent the problem, you are resenting the solution. So there is a problem, because in our society, obviously, we expect something, oh, I'm just hoping for a healthy child and all that and all that. And then you are gifted with this beautiful soul. Are you accepting of this beautiful soul, and are you accepting that you get to work together, but you don't have to forget yourself on the path? So you get to deal with the discordant energies, you get to deal with the resentment that is here, because when you have dealt with this bump, then you can receive you and this soul on another level, even if it can be opening up to us for help. Otherwise it's kind of like, I'm just gonna have to go through it as a mother. You punish yourself. I see parents at times who are going through this whole parenting as if it's like a punishment. I have to do it because I have children. Yet there's some help around us. So it starts with us dealing with what is opening up to ourselves, because the level that we are connected to ourselves, the level that we are accepting of ourselves and our situations, we can open up to the other one, and also open a path that, like I say, they're here to express them in a unique way. And what is that unique way? So you get to be able to be in that space to say, it's not only the labels that the soul is bringing through, because at times we are parenting from whatever that we are being told, and also limiting from that box that we have been told, oh, this whatever labels, this child belongs here and all that. But when you are holding space for a bigger expression of the soul that is unique, despite what the medical system is saying, it brings another thing. I was told what I was told, even with my daughter and all these things not disappearing, but I had my own truth. Within a year, when like first thing what I did was first thing admitting what I was going through. And my truth was, yes, this is what the doctors are telling me, but there could be another truth. There's other potential, right? So when I worked with my daughter, I realized that it's kind of like there was a disconnection. And it's not even surprising, even when you can say special ability, special children and all that. We are
Hang on,
disconnected. Yeah.
I definitely want to talk about how you were able to help your daughter to connect with herself. But when you talked about parents being, not having completed the grieving process, they were hoping for this situation and they got the situation. What are the signs that a mom or a dad have not are not have not completed the grieving process, have not and are not their true selves? If you're a parent listening, what is there, like a checklist? Is there like a quiz? What do you look for?
Mm. That's a good question, and I can't really pinpoint to say like it's there's like it's the way that you should be feeling. But first thing, let's get back to when you say the sign. What is it? How were you perceiving life? Isn't like the way you imagined your life before you got where you are? And how do you perceive life right now? Is there a part of you that there's some things that you desired to have done or you plan to do, and then you find yourself and it's kind of like already you dropped all of that. You are not even open or even imagining that life. You've kind of like put it aside and have just continued with whatever that is. And also, even when it comes to like I always say there is the part of us like that deeper that at times we judge it. It's kind of like that deeper shadow part of ourselves that we don't even want other people to know, especially when it comes to parenting. We always want to have this thing that, oh, I'm a good parent and all that. There is no good parent, because we are parenting different souls. So when you connect deeply with yourself, is there a part of you that at times, one of the things, it can just be as simple as, I wish I had a normal child. I wish, whatever that you wish was different, or a part of you that, because even when it comes to taking care of the child, you may be doing what you're doing, but there is a part of you that at times secretly, when you look at that secret thoughts that you have with yourself, or even secret feelings, or even secret emotions, because at times you can be showing up and it's not like you are smiling with your child and all that. And then from there, when you are by yourself in a corner or just before you sleep, you just start breaking down, you start crying. At times you may even cry without even knowing where are these emotions coming from, but it's coming through, especially when you have not sort of like consciously brought in, where it's kind of like, my life is just hard. Why can't my life be different like other people? Why couldn't I have other children like other people have?
So
And
are you saying
yeah,
that having those thoughts, I wish I had a different situation, those thoughts are a sign that you haven't completed the process of accepting your child? I thought that if you could have that thought and acknowledge and embrace the fact, you know what, this is not the life I was planning on having. Or maybe what's the difference between a healthy version of looking at a situation that you hadn't planned on and an unhealthy way of looking at what's the difference?
yeah, I like that, because there is a healthy way where at times it's like it's a flash that comes, but then it doesn't stick. But if it's like your base thoughts, where it's kind of like you are there continuously, where you can't see anything better than where you at, you can't even see the grace that is happening within that situation. I'll give you an example. Actually, I was just sitting with this gratitude even yesterday. Like I mentioned before, that now my ex-husband, was in this whole denial. Even when the time when I was working on my daughter, he just told me, you need to come back to earth, kind of like get off your horse or wherever that you are and come back to earth and accept that this is what is here. But from not from, there's a positive side of that and there's a negative side, but it's kind of like you are just being elusive or whatever. So we went through that situation of him being totally absent in that situation. And then he was absent completely. But when he realized that, oh, the child is now able to walk and all that, rather than what he thought, he showed up. And because yeah, I can't say because of this child that there were problems. There were problems before, but now for me, it was like difficult to get over what I experienced in the time when I needed him the most, and besides other things that happened prior, we couldn't hold on into this marriage. So he used his, I would say, white privilege, because I'm here in Germany, and I went through the separation with my children, with the father of that, with our father. The first time he was there supporting me. The second time he took advantage and did exactly what my ex did previously, to take my child away from me. So at the same time, knowing his situation with alcohol and all that, it's heartbreaking and everything. And especially that he was even absent when the child was going through that. And now when the child is okay, it's kind of like, now I get to be the father and take this child away from you. So I looked at all that. But on the other hand, it's kind of like there is gratitude that I'm feeling from the fact that whatever the purpose of this is, and on the other hand, if at all this is the only thing that he can hold into, and maybe it can help him to be a better person, a better version that he was meant to be, he is meant to grow through with this child. I'm holding that grace to say it's going to give him a chance maybe to get over his alcoholism, or and change for the best. It's not necessarily for our marriage. So when it comes to the healthier side, it's more, despite what is happening, how much of you is living in the what if, in the it shouldn't have been, and in the gratitude, and also exploring the situation and seeing what that is bringing for you. So there is a time where there is a version that maybe you are, these things are coming through, these questions are coming through now and then. It's kind of like you are living there. There is definitely resentment. There is a part of you that is refusing to accept what is, or maybe your question is even like, why did you do this to me, God? That is like you refusing and resenting what is. It may be something that comes through wishing that things were different, but on the other hand, there is a part of you that is exploring and even learning from things that you wouldn't have learned, being someone that you wouldn't be had you not been in that circumstances. That is accepting, and there is denial. But if every night,
I wanted to take that one because I know so many parents who have become different in a wonderful way. From what you're saying, they are learning and they have become leaders of foundations to help other parents. They have taken up the challenge, but they are really proud of the child. I have in mind one or two parents right now, parents I work with, who have developed incredible, powerful tools to help other parents because they know. I also wanted to go back to one thing that you mentioned a little earlier um, regarding pushing away and the question of what are you doing what you used to? Where is the person that was having passions before? Because you seem to, and going to the discovery that a child has needs and is not. This is on a brain level dimension. It's a trauma. And when there is a trauma of this nature, it doesn't need to be in an accident like you described, the accident of your brother. It is a tremendous vanishing, wiping out of what is our main messenger in the brain, which is serotonin. This trauma just wipes it out. And we are all losing, gaining, depending on everyday experience. And a lot of us have little passions that seem accessories, but are helping us to maintain those levels. Like we are going to have crafts, or some are going to love flowers, some are going to paint as a little thing on the side. And usually this is what they let go when there is a child that's taking everything from you, or you are giving everything. So those little things, I think it's one way that I would also perceive the parent is not helping herself or himself, as giving up all the things that made them a little happier, which on a brain function level means they were repairing their brain a little bit every day when they were doing those things they loved. So I wanted to bring in that little component of brain functions in there, that we really are on the same line, even if our words are a little bit different, but what you're doing is really recognizing what is going on and helping the parents.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
Claudie, is the giving up of those hobbies for you a sign that they have not yet that they're not yet seeing their situation in a healthy way?
What the way I see it is they do not have a way to get their brain healthier, like doing also the duty things that are demanding. And very often, and I think in the questionnaire you send to parents when they are interested in doing mendability, there is one question that says, when was the last time you did something for you only? And most parents will say, I don't even remember. And so we are all sort of aware. And I encourage parents, I ask that question when I work with parents, what do you do for yourself? And sometimes they have a child who is bedridden, he is older, they cannot go. So just stand at the window and look at a tree, like looking at the landscape. It's a simple tip that looking around yourself from your window, eye movement improves dopamine production, which is the messenger of motivation, feeling good, memory. So
You meant
making,
dopamine, right?
yeah, dopamine is that one that you can create for yourself by something simple. But when you feel a little happier, a little more motivated, you will find a way to take 5 minutes to do something for yourself during the day. We have very little things, and I do it, is smell something that you love, because we know the impact of smelling on brain functions, and like it makes you remember good things. That's a nice thing about the sense of smell. It very seldom, if you like the smell, will bring a bad memory. So we have with sensory enrichment tiny little things that we can put into the parent's life, where our focus, as far as we're concerned, is about amending the situation for the child. But yeah, we are totally recognizing those situations.
This
Yeah.
talking of dopamine and motivation makes me think of your work on energy, Rao. So how can parents become more aware? Because you talk about the significance of energy in healing, right? Can you
Yeah.
explain a little bit what you mean by that? And how can parents become more aware of their energy and how and the impact that they have on their children?
Yeah, that's a good question. And here's the thing, especially when you're talking about being a parent, and I'm just gonna bring in even one of like an expansion of me being separated from my children, that like is a version that brought in parenting on another level, which is also when I look at it, when you're parenting, as in whether no matter how much your needs, the needs your child has, but on the other hand, you can only serve them when you are also rejuvenated. So if you deplete yourself, you're not going to be able to help them in any way. So for me, when it comes to energy, is being fully connected with yourself. And when I'm talking about yourself, I'm not talking only the physical, the higher self, like connecting deeper in your environment. Because if you are a parent and you think your way of parenting is always being our led and being there physically, where maybe you don't even trust other people. I can't ask for help because I don't think other people are going to do a good job if I'm out, maybe for an hour just for myself, then something bad is going to happen and all that. That's kind of like a limited version of parenting. Because when you are connected to yourself, your higher self, like on a bigger version, it doesn't matter where you're at. If something is not right, you are connected to that child. You're just going to know that the energy is shifting. So for me, parenting, like even on an energetical level, it's being that parent who, despite you being there physical, but on the other hand, you can be there energetical. So it gives you a chance when you are connected with yourself and knowing yourself at that level, it gives you a chance to know that it's not only your human self that is going to be there and taking care of that child by yourself. Because when you look at the reality of life, on the other hand, we don't know when our time is going to be. And if we feeling like we are obliged and we are not willing to nurture ourselves so that we can even have that longevity to take care of our children, then we are going to miss out on their growth or even when they need us more. So energetically, I don't even know how best to describe it, but it's more like connecting to the non-physical, connecting to the energy where even when you parenting from that, let me say you are, especially when you're talking about children with special needs, and actually even just children, the first language of children is not words. It's just our presence, the expression, if something is not right. So when you are present enough, especially where children are not able to articulate that message properly, you can tell beyond the words that are being said. You can read the energy in the room, even if a child is saying, like, maybe they don't want to bother you, because these are beautiful, intelligent beings. At times they can just develop a habit of, this is too much on my parent, and they decide to start holding into things and not saying, but you can tell that despite this child not saying anything, something is not right. But for us to get to that level, it's for us to get to that level with ourselves. And it also needs some time. Like when you said, at times, even 5 minutes, I don't think it has for you even to take time, whether it's 15, 30 minutes, and check in with yourself. What is the status of my being? What is my energy? What am I feeling? And you know where you are at before you can connect with your child, or you can connect with other people. And you can also tell, this is how I'm feeling. And now I get to connect maybe with Claudia or Kim, but I know that the energy is shifting. Is this mine? You understand? So it's like going back to that, going deeper to that level of the nonverbal, of the energetical, to say, this is, I was in the room, this is how you felt earlier. Now things have changed to what is really going on. Is not only depending on what is being said, because our energy as well may influence. Let me say, I was not in the room, and when I come in, the energy is a bit lighter. But then when I stay there for 5-10 minutes, somehow some energy is shifting. It's shifting. The child is not as lively as or lighter as the child was earlier. Then I get to check in with myself, because it's not about the smile that I'm putting on. I can come in with a smile, but if my energy is off, the child can just tell that something is not right here. Are we aware of how much we are impacting even our children, despite us taking care of them? Because when we are not taking care of ourselves, even energetically and everything, then we are trying to help them, but whatever that we are carrying and suppressing is also, we are passing it into our children.
I know you have a complete healing and program for parents and for people to connect with themselves. But do you have one piece of advice or technique that you could share with our audience before where our time is over? But I wanted to leave maybe a practical nugget for our audience, for our parents who are wanting to be present, who are wanting to know if they are present, and to have good energy for their children.
Yeah, that's a good one. And what I want to start with, like I said, first thing is to check in with yourself, and you can close your eyes and just be in your body. Like I said in the beginning, what am I agreeing to? Which also takes us to our intention. What is your intention for the day? When you wake up, yesterday was yesterday, whatever that happened in yesterday happened yesterday. So when you start your day by checking in with yourself. And when you check in with yourself, we check on how you're feeling. And another thing, just shortly, can also be, while you are connecting to your body feeling, you call your energy back to yourself, wherever that you may be, whether it's about those bills, whether it's about, maybe you are focusing on the person that you're taking care of, or your child. You are focusing on them, you are leaving your energy with them. So when you check in with yourself, you just releasing whatever that is not yours, even that energy, sending it back, whatever that you may be. Because at times when you worry about somebody, we are leaving that worry with them. We are worrying, thinking that, okay, because I care, I'm worried and I want things to be all right. But it's kind of like giving them a baggage. So take your energy back, even those baggages that are, it's carrying, but it's carrying in not in a way that is beneficial. You call your energy back to yourself, check in with yourself, and just connect to the light, or whoever that you believe in, the higher force that you believe in, and just imagine, or you can just imagine water just washing you over, cleansing you in. And from there, you set your intention. How do you want to experience your day? And you go into your child or whoever from this cleanless slate.
It's lovely. Thank you so much, Rao. I think it's a perfect end for this episode. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. This idea of African ancient quantum medicine, very intriguing. A lot of stuff that you say feels familiar, resonates well. And in behalf of our audience, I want to thank you again. To our audience, everybody, have a good and blessed day. Think about your energy, connect with yourselves, and see you next week.
Bye.